What if I told you that masturbating 21 times a month could actually lower your risk of prostate cancer? But here's the part most men never hear. If you do it the wrong way, too often, too rough, or when you're stressed out, it might slowly break down. Your erections mess with your hormones and leave you wondering what happened to your desire. Picture this. You've hit middle age and you can feel it. You wake up at 3 a.m. again because you can't empty your bladder. Your mornings no longer start with an erection. And deep down, you start asking yourself, is it because I've been masturbating too much or doing it wrong? If you've ever had that thought, stay with me. Because in this video, we'll unpack the science behind ejaculation, prostate health, and erectile function, and I'll show you how to take control starting today. And if any of that hits home, just drop a 1 in the comments. That tells me you're here, and I'll be there to reply, no judgment. Also, don't forget to like this video and subscribe if you want more straight, honest conversations like this one. Let's start with something simple. What exactly is the prostate and what happens to it after 40? The prostate is a small gland about the size of a walnut. It sits just below your bladder and wraps around the urethra, the tube that carries urine out of your body. Its main job, producing the fluid that nourishes and helps transport sperm. That's it. Most of your life, it works quietly in the background, and you never even notice it's there. But after your 40s, that silence starts to break. The prostate begins to grow naturally. And if you've ever found yourself waking up 2, maybe 3 times a night just to pee, you already know something's not quite right. This condition is called benign prostatic hyperplasia, or BPH. It's not cancer, but it's not harmless either. As the prostate enlarges, it puts pressure on the urethra. That means weaker flow, that annoying feeling you can't fully empty your bladder, and constant trips to the bathroom, especially at night. But here's the real problem. When the prostate gets too big, it starts holding on to old fluid, and that creates the perfect environment for chronic inflammation. Inflammation over time increases the risk of cellular damage and, yes, even prostate cancer. Now let's shift to something we rarely talk about, honestly, ejaculation. A major 18-year study published in European Urology followed thousands of men and found something remarkable. Men who ejaculated around 21 times per month had a 33% lower risk of developing prostate cancer compared to those who ejaculated only 4 to 7 times. Why? It all comes down to what researchers call the prostate flushing hypothesis. Think of each ejaculation as flushing out a pipe, removing old cells, built up waste, and potential irritants. When you don't flush it out regularly, that old fluid just sits there stagnant, packed with dead cells and toxins. Over time, it builds inflammation, damages tissue, and increases cancer risk. But here's the twist: most men don't know. Many middle-aged men stop ejaculating completely because they're afraid. Afraid it'll make them weak, afraid they'll lose their essence or masculinity. But what actually happens, the opposite of what they hope for. The prostate becomes congested, inflammation rises, and the risks, especially silent creeping ones like chronic prostatitis or early cancer, start building up. So, no, masturbation isn't the enemy. Avoiding it completely without understanding your biology is, let's get this straight. You don't ruin your prostate by ejaculating. You harm it when you ignore it. And that's where the real danger begins. Let's be honest, if you find yourself needing to watch porn just to masturbate, or if you can only climax by gripping yourself harder and harder each time something isn't right, these might seem like harmless habits, but over time, they can quietly sabotage your ability to feel, to respond, and to connect with a real partner. Let's break down 3 common mistakes most men don't realize they're making. First is what urologists call the death grip. It happens when you apply too much pressure during masturbation or stick to the same repetitive technique for years. At first, it feels good, but your brain and the nerves in your penis adapt to that unnatural level of intensity. The result: when you're with a real partner, normal touch just doesn't cut it anymore. You become desensitized, erections feel weaker, reaching orgasm becomes harder, and worst of all, you start to question whether your body is broken. Second is posture. Many men masturbate lying flat on their stomach or placing pressure on their lower abdomen. This might feel discreet or comfortable, but physically it reduces blood flow to the pelvic region, and over time can cause minor trauma to the pelvic floor muscles. That's the foundation for your erection reflex. When it weakens, so does your confidence. The third mistake is relying too heavily on visual stimulation, specifically porn. The brain's reward system wasn't designed to handle endless novelty and instant arousal. Porn trains your brain to chase unrealistic high-speed stimulation. Then, when you return to a real life moment, naked skin, eye contact, intimacy, your brain doesn't register it as exciting enough. The emotional and physical connection doesn't fire the way it used to. Now, let's talk about the elephant in the room: erectile dysfunction. Is it caused by masturbation? The truth is, masturbation itself is not the enemy, but how you do it, how often, and why. That's where things go sideways. Most cases of ED linked to masturbation are rooted in poor habits and unresolved emotional stress. If you masturbate with guilt while exhausted under constant pressure, or just to escape emotional tension, you're feeding a destructive cycle. You're not just confusing your body's arousal patterns, you're also flooding your system with cortisol, a stress hormone that disrupts dopamine levels and suppresses testosterone. All of that chips away at your desire, your ability to get hard, and even your self-worth. Over time, you start to fear sexual moments, not because your body can't perform, but because your mind has been conditioned to fail. And there's research to back this up. According to a study published in the Journal of Sexual Medicine, men who masturbate more than 4 times per day over extended periods showed higher risks of mild depression, reduced natural sexual pleasure, and weaker erectile response in real life scenarios, especially when not exposed to high intensity visual stimuli like porn. What's worse is that many men don't notice the decline until it's already affected their relationships, their confidence, and their quality of life. They think they're fine until one night they're not. So, where do we draw the line between healthy self pleasure and compulsive behavior that undermines our sexual health? How can you enjoy your natural drive, maintain a strong, responsive body, and protect your masculinity without shame or damage? That's exactly what we'll uncover next as we dive into how to rewire your habits, regain control of your sexual reflexes, and rebuild long term performance as a man. Stay with me. To understand why healthy ejaculation matters so much for men, especially as we age, we need to go back to the core of male sexual health hormones, specifically two big players, testosterone and DHT. Testosterone is the primary male hormone. It drives your libido, supports your ability to get and maintain erections, fuels your muscle mass, strengthens your bones, and even stabilizes your mood. But here's the catch: after the age of 40, testosterone levels naturally decline by about 1% every year. And if your lifestyle is poor, lack of sleep, high stress, no exercise, that drop becomes faster and more damaging. Now, a portion of your testosterone gets converted into another hormone called DHT, short for dihydrotestosterone. DHT is about 5 times more potent than testosterone. During puberty, it plays a crucial role in sexual development. But in middle age, excess DHT can become a problem. Why? Because DHT stimulates prostate growth. And when DHT levels remain high over time, it increases your risk of prostate enlargement, also known as BPH, and possibly even cellular damage that sets the stage for more serious conditions. Here's where things get personal. When your testosterone is being overly converted into DHT, your prostate starts to swell. You might notice more frequent nighttime urination, weak flow, or constant pressure in your lower abdomen. That's not just annoying, it's your body's warning sign that your hormonal balance is off. Now let's talk about ejaculation. What role does it actually play in regulating these hormones? Ejaculating regularly and in a healthy way helps your body maintain a balanced hormonal rhythm. You use testosterone properly, you prevent DHT from surging, and you reduce inflammation in the prostate. It's not just about sexual release, it's about keeping your endocrine system running smoothly. But if you're masturbating excessively, especially under stress or chasing quick dopamine spikes through porn, the opposite happens. Your body starts to break down. Testosterone production slows, DHT stays elevated, and cortisol, the stress hormone, rises and begins to suppress your reproductive system. In simpler terms, healthy ejaculation keeps your hormones in check. Unhealthy habits, too much, too often, and too stimulated, convince your body that it's under constant stress. And when your body thinks it's in survival mode, the first thing it does is shut down your sex drive. And that's why understanding your hormones isn't just a science lesson, it's the key to keeping your sexual power alive. Let's keep going. In the next part, we'll explore exactly how to masturbate in a way that protects your prostate, balances your hormones, and keeps your performance strong no matter your age. One of the most common questions I get from men in midlife is this: how often should I masturbate? The truth is, there's no one size fits all answer. Your ideal frequency depends on your hormone levels, stress load, relationship status, and general health. But based on clinical data and real life observation, we can offer a safe and beneficial guideline. If you're in your 40s, 2 to 4 times a week is considered healthy. In your 50s, aim for 1 to 3 sessions per week. And if you're over 60, even once or twice a week can help maintain prostate function and sexual health. The key here is not to suppress your desire completely. Many men make the mistake of thinking that abstinence equals strength, but bottling up sexual energy when your body still produces it can actually lead to congestion, inflammation, and hormonal imbalance. Suppression doesn't make you stronger. It just cuts you off from your biology. But frequency is only one part of the story. The way you do it matters even more. And here's where a lot of men run into trouble without realizing it. One of the biggest mistakes is using too much grip, what we call the death grip. If you consistently use excessive pressure or repetitive unnatural strokes, you're conditioning your nervous system to only respond to that very specific form of stimulation. That means when you're with a real partner, the natural sensation may not be strong enough to trigger arousal. That disconnect often leads to what many men mislabel as erectile dysfunction, when in fact, it's sensory desensitization from poor habits. Posture matters too. If you usually masturbate lying on your stomach or applying pressure to your lower abdomen, you might be restricting blood flow to your pelvic region. Over time, this can interfere with your body's natural arousal and erection pathways. Instead, choose a neutral or upright position that doesn't press into your pelvis. Now let's talk about mental stimulation. Porn can be a double-edged sword. While it's widely accessible and fast-acting, frequent exposure to high-intensity visual stimulation creates a false expectation in your brain. Your reward system adapts to the extreme scenarios on screen, and when it's time for a real-life encounter, your body may not respond with the same intensity. That's because the real thing often feels too real, too slow, not scripted, and that disconnect is jarring. So now you might be wondering, if I've done all of this, does that mean I've damaged myself permanently? The answer is no, but the effects are cumulative. Which brings us to one of the most painful misconceptions men carry: the fear that masturbation has caused their erectile dysfunction. Here's the truth: it's not the act itself, but the context and technique over time. Masturbation done correctly does not cause ED. But when you mix poor habits with long term guilt, sleep deprivation, and performance anxiety, you create a cocktail of dysfunction. Cortisol goes up, dopamine becomes dysregulated, testosterone drops, and your brain starts to associate sexual arousal with pressure, shame, or even failure. That's when the real damage begins, not in your genitals, but in your confidence and reflexes. There's even scientific backing for this. A study published in the Journal of Sexual Medicine found that men who masturbate more than 4 times per day over extended periods are more likely to experience symptoms of low mood, reduced natural arousal, and even difficulty maintaining erections without intense external stimulation. The most alarming part, most of them don't realize the problem until they face a real partner and suddenly nothing works. So, how do you know if you're on the edge? Ask yourself this. Do I feel shame or guilt right after I finish? Do I need stronger and stronger stimulation to feel the same release? Do I struggle to get or maintain an erection without porn? If the answer is yes, then it's time to change course, not by cutting off your desire completely, but by resetting the way your body and mind respond. Let's be clear, masturbation is not the enemy. But just like food, exercise, or alcohol, it needs the right context and moderation. When done with intention, it can be a powerful part of your physical and emotional well being. When done on autopilot or in secrecy and stress, it slowly chips away at your vitality. So, where's the line between healthy release and harmful habit? That's exactly what we're going to explore. Next, how to reset your nervous system. Healthy sexual habits are just one piece of the puzzle. If your diet, exercise, and sleep are out of balance, even the best technique won't save your prostate or your performance. Let's talk about how your daily routine either supports or sabotages your masculinity. Let's be clear, there is no magic pill for prostate health or rock solid erections. But there is something you repeat 3 times a day: your meals. What you put on your plate can either fuel your masculinity or silently erode it. An anti inflammatory diet isn't a fad, it's your biological foundation for protecting the prostate balancing hormones, improving erection quality, and reducing the buildup of internal toxins that fuel dysfunction. The first step: cut out the daily saboteurs. That means processed red meats like bacon, sausages, and charred grilled steak. These promote systemic inflammation and put stress on your prostate. Ditch the refined sugar in sodas, cookies, and candy that spike insulin and destabilize testosterone. And be wary of alcohol, especially if you're drinking late into the night. It disrupts hormone cycles, damages sleep, and inflames prostate tissue. What should you eat instead? Load up on lycopene rich foods like cooked tomatoes, tomato sauce, and soups. Lycopene is one of the most potent antioxidants for the prostate, and it absorbs even better when paired with healthy fats. Think tomato sauce sauteed in olive oil. Add zinc rich foods like oysters, pumpkin seeds, and almonds to your week. Zinc is essential for testosterone production and supports the prostate directly. Include green tea, turmeric, olive oil, and omega 3s from fatty fish or flaxseed. These don't just reduce inflammation, they help regulate the hormonal signals that affect your libido and performance. Now let's move beyond the kitchen. One of the most overlooked culprits of falling testosterone and weak erections is a sedentary lifestyle. You don't need a gym membership to change that. A brisk 30-minute walk daily improves blood flow to the pelvic region, restoring nerve sensitivity and erection reliability. Lifting weights twice a week sends a direct signal to your body to produce more endogenous testosterone. This is the science of strength training, but don't forget your pelvic floor. Kegel exercises aren't just for women. For men, they strengthen the muscles around the base of your penis, improve control over urination, and help you maintain stronger, longer lasting erections. The routine is simple. Each morning and evening, contract your pelvic floor muscles 10 to 15 times per session, holding each contraction for 2 to 3 seconds. You can do this sitting down, standing, or even lying in bed. It's discreet, effective, and life-changing when done consistently. And now we come to one of the most underestimated pillars of male health, sleep, and stress. Sleep less than 6 hours a night, and your testosterone can drop by 10–15% in just 1 week. That's not speculation, it's research backed. According to findings from the Journal of the American Medical Association, inadequate sleep crushes your hormonal rhythm. Yet many middle aged men live in a loop of late night work stress and screen exposure that wrecks their natural recovery cycle. Want to fix that? Here are 3 science-backed steps. First, shut down all screens at least 45 minutes before bed. Yes, that includes your phone. The blue light delays melatonin release and tricks your brain into thinking it's still daytime. Second, practice deep breathing using the 4-4-4 method. Inhale for 4 seconds, hold for 4, and exhale for 4. This activates your parasympathetic nervous system, lowering cortisol. Finally, drink a warm glass of water and avoid heavy meals within 2 hours of bedtime to support melatonin and growth hormone release. Here's the bottom line: if you don't sleep, you don't perform. If you don't manage your stress, your prostate and testosterone will suffer. Period. This isn't opinion, it's biology, and it's within your control. In the next part, we'll talk about how to monitor your progress from home, because the earlier you notice a shift, the faster you can take back control of your sexual health. Stay with me. Now that you understand how your lifestyle and habits directly affect your prostate and erectile function, let's take one step further: proactive monitoring. Because the truth is, what you don't track, you can't manage. You don't need fancy tests or expensive equipment to start. Your own body is already giving you signals if you're willing to pay attention. Every week, take note of a few key indicators. Morning erections. Are they regular? Are they firm enough? Do they last? Nighttime urination. Waking up more than twice per night could be a red flag. Ejaculation timing. Finishing too quickly or taking unusually long can both signal hormonal imbalance or nerve desensitization. And how do you feel after you masturbate? Energized and relaxed, or oddly fatigued, achy, or mentally foggy? Here's a simple rule. If any of these changes persist for more than 2 weeks, don't ignore them. Your body's whisper can turn into a scream if you delay action. Let's talk prevention. After age 45, prostate screenings should no longer be optional. They should be part of your yearly routine. Even if you feel fine, even if you have no symptoms, there are 2 essential checks every man should know. First is the PSA blood test, short for prostate-specific antigen. It detects abnormal changes in the prostate before cancer shows up in other ways. Second is the digital rectal exam. Yes, it's awkward, but it takes less than 15 seconds and it could save your life. If your father or brother had prostate cancer, don't wait until 45. Start screening at 40. And here's the mindset shift: getting checked doesn't make you weak. It proves you're still in control. So here's the truth, stripped of shame and confusion: masturbation isn't the enemy. Ignorance is. You don't need to quit to protect your prostate. You just need to learn how to do it right, when, how often, and with what intention. Strength in this phase of life isn't about restraint. It's about awareness. Mastery over your urges, not denial of them. And once you take back control of your sexual health, everything changes, not just in the bedroom, but in your confidence, your clarity, your energy as a man. Because when you master your prostate, you master your vitality. If this video helped you see things more clearly, if it took even a little weight off your shoulders, pass it on. Share it with a friend who's quietly wondering the same things you were. If this video helped you or made things clearer, and if you'd like me to dive deeper into topics like masturbation, prostate health, or anything related, type yes, so I know you're truly interested. Subscribe now for more straight talking, medically grounded videos just like this, because no man over 40 should walk this road alone.